Hello, it's nice to see you back here. It's a little while since we did a video, but we are now going to move into 2022 with Felicity Crafts. Today we're going to make a present topper. We've talked before about using brown paper, recycling ribbons, things like that to wrap presents, and they look really good. Last time we had the paper rose on top, making it look beautiful. But I've noticed that loads of people have been asking all over WI and other places what to do with old Christmas cards. And this is one of the things that we can do with old Christmas cards. They're not going to look particularly Christmassy. You can keep them till next year if you want, but they're going to make beautiful toppers. This looks like winter themed, but you can do it in any way that you like. So what we need for this, obviously the present that you're going to do on the brown paper and all of that, we don't need to do that bit, but we need some Christmas cards. We're going to need scissors. We're going to need something in the centre. On this one, I've put buttons. You could use felt. You could use a brad or a paper fastener like this. I do think that these kind of sequins and things probably are not very eco, but I've got a load left over, so I'm going to use up the ones that I've got and maybe then not buy any more, which is what I've done on that one there. Now for the sticking, you can use double-sided tape or you can use glue stick. I can't find my glue stick here at the moment. That shows you how long I've been since I've been in the craft room. I'll find that in a second. But with the, you can use either one depending on what card you've got and how shiny and how glittery it is. These ones are particularly good with the glittery cards that don't want to be recycled. If you have already got rid of your Christmas cards, you could perfectly well do this. I've got these lovely winter themed craft things that from a magazine that once came out. So those are really nice ones that you can do, or obviously you could use birthday cards as well. So any time of year you can do this. So I've actually gone through all of the Christmas cards. I've taken out my favourite ones to use for tags for next year. I always need loads of those, so that's looking good. I've taken out all the religious ones because I use those at school where I work. And now I've got the ones that are left, particularly glittery ones like this that possibly aren't going to be recycled. It doesn't matter whether or not they are very thick card or very thin card because you can adapt it. This one here is slightly different to this one here. And that's because I liked the gold card and made a little bit more of that. And this one was a different sort of pattern, so we decided to use it that way. I'm going to show you both ways. So you're going to get your card and basically you're going to need 8 strips of it. If your card is too small to cut it into 8 strips, then do 4 and 4. You know, change it around, go on to one of the other cards. But if you can fit 8 strips, now I know you're going to ask me what you want to do with the strips, what measurements you want with the strips, but the thing is, it depends on your card. So this one's quite glittery, but I'm reckoning on about, now that's what I did and I'm just going to measure. Yeah, that's about 2 centimetres. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 strips that are about 2 centimetres wide. And that's for the bottom part. And then, when I've got this one left, I'm going to cut it in half. And you'll notice no rulers, no measuring, no nothing. That's my style. You want to do measuring and rulering, you do it. I've cut that into 2 halves. And now I'm going to cut that into 2 halves again. Now, it was up to you, looking at the picture, whether you wanted to cut it that way or that way. This one, of course, has come out, this one, if I show you, has come out really with colours all over the place. This one was much, much whiter in there. So absolutely adapt this for whatever your picture looks like, wherever you want to cut it, a long ways, down ways, whatever. Doesn't matter whether it's got words on or anything like that. But we've ended up with 8 strips. Okay, so what I've done is have 4 strips that are slightly wider and 4 strips that are thinner. And that's a sort of standardish sized card. So 4 2 centimetre strips and 4 1 centimetre strips approximately. Okay, so that's what we've done. I'm totally going to have to find my glue stick before we move on Oh, here it is. I was just going to ask my director who could find it. Look, I've tidied it away, ready for our new load of things. So I'm going to move these just out of the way so that you can see the table a bit more clearly. And I'm going to get my larger strips, my 2 centimetre ones. What I'm going to do is fold a point on the end of here. So I'm just going to show you with the felt tip pen. As ever, you do not need to use a felt tip pen. This is purely for you to see. So I'm finding the centre here, and I'm just going to fold the tip in, and I'm going to use my eye for you to see. Director, I'm just going to check that everybody can see this. Okay, so we've got a point like that, and on the other side we have folded it in. Yep, we can see enough, like that and like that. Okay, good. So that's our pointy end, like that. And I'm only approximating what it's like, and we're going to do that onto each side so that we've got a straight edge. I'm just going to put the felt tip pen line so you can see. You don't need a straight edge, I'm just showing you that that's where we're folding down to. You don't need to draw that line. So we've now got one that's got a pointy end at either side. And we're going to do that with all of them. Now with this gold one, because the gold was so nice, I used it with the white, so the gold is now on the bottom and the white side is there with those bits folded inward. This is also really thick card, so when I folded it in, they still stayed sticking up a little bit, and I embraced that. I didn't fight against it. If you have thinner, possibly cheaper cards, then they will fold down really nicely. Oh, this one's got a bit of sellotape on. My mum, these were my mum's cards, and she sellotapes them to her door. And there's little bits of sellotape. I'm just going to cut that bit off. Okay, so then we've got a little point. Yes, you could just cut points on here if you want to. You could make this shape by just snipping off the edges. You won't get the nice folded one for that, where it's folding up a little bit like a water lily, but with the other one you will get more or less the same effect. So fold them in like that, or if you want to, snip off your edges so that they are in a point like that. Either way. So if you want to fold them in, or if you don't want to fold them in. Okay, that's up to you. So we're going to have 4 little arrow shapes pointing there. Now don't do the same thing with your thin ones, don't do that. What we're going to do is put these ones together. Now I'm going to use this is quite glittery, this one, and if you've got gold or glittery things, then they might need the double-sided tape rather than this one. It depends. Okay, so if you wanted to create this one, you want your points downwards like that. So we're looking at the point, and that's what I'm going to do with this one. So I'm going to put a bit of double-sided tape in the middle, pull off the edges. We were using double-sided tape with the children at Christmas, and they were absolutely, at school I mean, they were absolutely amazed by pulling it off and sticking it on, and how good it was when they were used to using glue. So you might, if you've never encountered a double-sided tape before, you might be excited by that. I'm going to make a cross like that, and then we're going to put another little piece of double-sided tape, and remember you can tear it. It doesn't need to be the scissors. It actually works better when you tear it because you don't gunk up your scissors all the time. And then we're going to put another one across like that, and then another little bit of tape in the middle there. Now you can rearrange this in order to make the glittery bits in the right place, but we're trying to recycle, so I'd say just go with it. Go with where it's going. And then you've got that, and you could actually just stop there because on its own that's going to look quite nice, but we didn't recycle the whole card. Now we're going to get our thin pieces, and all we're going to do with our thin pieces is pull them up with your hand like that. Use your thumb to just bend it up. Now some cards are going to bend up better than others, but you're just looking for that. So you're going to do that with all 4 of them. Just bend them up. You could do it around a pencil if you like, folding it up like that. This is a slightly weird triangle one. If you're not a primary school teacher, you might be thinking, why on earth is that a triangle? It's supposed to be easier for younger children to grip. That's where that one, that was, I hadn't stolen that one from school. It was something that teachers gave us. That on a course we were given those, and showing that apparently triangles are easier to hold when you're little. Then we're going to do the same thing with this, putting it on top, but you're going to be careful to make sure it's going in between. So we want to go in between this one, in between this one, in between this one as they're going. Now I don't know whether this is going to work because of the glitteriness, so I'm just going to try and stick these all together like this. This is so simple. You could easily do this with children. You could easily do this in front of the TV when you weren't really concentrating, cutting out those things like that. And they really make a really nice topper for something that could be quite simple. That's it. Now we've got our beautiful topper. You don't need a centre in there because it's quite neat, but it's quite fun, isn't it, to do that? So I've got loads of little bits of felt left over, and I've used my die cutting machine for those ones. If you are going to use a brad or a paper fastener, which is these things, brads are just fancy paper fasteners, these things that open like that in between, so they're going around. You're going to need to stick a hole in there first. I can't remember where I put it here. I have a very, very big needle, and you will have need to stick that through first. Actually, it's too hard on my hands to do that these days, so I'm not going to do it. Instead, I'm going to get out my glue gun, and I'm going to really make sure I've got a nice big splodge of glue and stick something in the middle. For the gold one, which looked a little bit like a water lily, all I did was, when you had the ones where they were folded in, we did it the other way up, so that the bottom side then was that way up, and then you've got the points up, and you've got a little bit, they were quite thick, those ones, if you see, and then you've got a little bit of white showing through as well. No good if you've got writing on the back, as some of these ones have. Is it this one that's got writing on the back? Yes, that was a letter on the back, but that one would look really nice. You could, of course, felt tip pen inside those bits as well and fold it up. So a good thing to put in the middle as well is a button, because I love using up buttons. I love buttons anyway. Buttons are really, really nice to put inside the middle of things, but they're so good for the whole recycling thing. So whenever you've got something that's finished, also, to be honest, they can be sentimental buttons, can't they? You've got them left over from something that you liked, your children's clothes, your grandma's shirt, something like that, and then you can use those in the middle as something like that. So when we're wrapping this year, we're going to be using brown paper, recycled ribbons, and this ribbon is just tied on the back. Okay, there is some sellotape on this one, I must admit, and that's because it's a demonstration one that I keep picking up. It's not actually a present. But it would be better with no sellotape, a ribbon that you can take off and reuse, and something beautifully recycled to make it look lovely. I'll see you next week for some fun with washi tape. Bye!